seeing here the written word is dying. So there's something quite interesting when you look at the evolution of human beings. So clearly human beings have been on the planet for a long, long time. And really the written word came about mostly with the advent of the printing press. Before that there were a few people who could read and write, but it was a very small portion of the population. And it was only really when we got mass production of books with the printing press, and even a little bit after that, that we had mass literacy and people being able to read and write. Probably, realistically, the last few hundred years that being able to read and write has been important. We, as human beings, have not evolved to be very good at reading and writing. We've been on the planet for 65 million years. I'm not a biologist, but my wife is, and she assures me that evolution doesn't work in 100-year increments. It's a little bit longer than that. So we have not been evolving to cope with the written word. The way that we have been evolving to communicate with each other is by speaking, by looking at one another, by using our hands and verbal signals, visual signals. Not so much looking at text and pieces of things written down. Those of you who are, studying, actually all of you, did you have to write essays at school? Stick your hand up if you ever had to write an essay at school as part of your schooling. Pretty much everybody. I'd like to ask anybody who is currently in work right now, how many of you wrote an essay this week? One. How many wrote an essay this month? A second. A third. So we're getting some, but clearly that's not the most important skill, even today, in the world that we're living in today. I haven't written an essay in quite a while. I spend more time looking at presentations and things like that. But what's that got to do with technology? Well, what we're doing in the derivatives utility is we're trying to automate away things that are being done by human beings to some extent. We can talk later on or look in the press as to why, but that's one of the things we're trying to do. In order to do that, we're probably going to use machine learning, and some of you know something about machine learning, and if not, I suggest you look it up, right? Because there's quite a lot of interesting work being done where the machine can effectively sit alongside you as a human being, look at what you're doing, and then automate you away so that you have no job. Well, if that's the case, what are human beings going to do? And it's not that they're going to sit down and analyze what systems and processes are, write them up, and computer program them. That's what we do today. That's not what we're going to do in the future. In the future, what human beings are going to do is to interact with one another and to make decisions. Right? So when we look at this learning and computer learning, it's not quite the same as artificial intelligence. So it's not that computers have suddenly got a mind of their own and are able to look at goals and outcomes and opportunities and make decisions that move us in that direction. No, what they can do is they can look at what you've done 50 times before and they can do it for another 500 times. That's what computer learning is all about. But that's not what's going to move our company, our industry, or the world forward. We're going to need different sets of skills, and they're less around writing things down. That's certainly still important, but it's not going to be as important as we move forward. They're more around being motivated, having goals, being able to take decisions that move you towards those, being able to interact with other people, being able to talk and be heard. To finish up and sum up a little bit, maybe the written word isn't quite dying, it's certainly not dead yet, but the skills that I believe are going to be very important as we move through the next 20 and 40 years are much more varied. And that's what I would encourage you to develop as you look at your own training and career development, and as you look at places to work, I would look for people who are going to challenge you and motivate you and develop that side of your brain. Thank you very much.